Okay, so for the profile, we have a, object level settings or a field level setting. Both are for both permission we can give that, and if we want to increase that permission for a particular
You
user, then
share
we
your
use.
screen?
Can you share your screen, please?
Okay, but I'm just talking about the previous
Oh,
thing,
okay.
so that's it. Okay, yesterday we talked about that profiles and profiles, how to give permission or to the custom objects, and how to give permission to their related fields via field level security. We learn about that, and we have also learned that how we if some of the user, if we need to give the permission to increase the permission, then via permission set we can increase that permission too. So today, since these all things are related to a, metadata, and metadata of the object is also a metadata, and fields also metadata. Now today we talk about that records that present in the Salesforce. For the records, we have let me open some of the records so that. Remember, in some classes before, I told you that we have four fields that Salesforce already create whenever we create any object. That four fields are created by last modified, owner, and name field. These four fields are created by the Salesforce whenever we create on the any object record. Any object whenever we create, these four fields are automatically get created. Let me show that. I'm in my employee object, and here this owner, that can be a lookup to a user or a group, uh, and we have a last modified, and we have created by, and we have a, which is lookup to a user, and we have also have a name field. So these four fields are created by the Salesforce whenever we create a object. After that we create this one, these all of them are as a custom object in my in our this employee object. So my talk here, I'm talking about that ownership of the object, because when we are working on the records, means record permission, that is organization wide defaults or sharing rules, these all things are based on the ownership of the record, means who owns that record. Who owns the record, it depends on this owner field. Owner field means here, this one, this one is the owner field. Usually when someone created the record, it automatically becomes the owner of that record. Means whenever we create a record, it become whenever we create a record, the user who creating that record, it's be the same user becomes the owner of that field. Okay, you can see that created by is same as the owner, and whenever the record is changed by some user, that last modified got changed. You can see that the last modified is a different user, means it's my original user, and the created by is a testing user that I created, a new user that I created for the testing. So, and this record is created by testing user, and under some circumstances might be I modified this record, therefore that's why it's showing me last modified by some other user. So here I'm talking about that ownership of the record, which is a very important thing before moving towards the record level security. So ownership of the record is ownership of the record. It's usually is the same as the whenever we create record, then at the same time the owner of the record is the same user who creates that record. Sometimes it's different. It's usually when we work on the apex, then we change the owner user. Suppose the record is created by some other people and we change the owner to means we give the ownership of the record to other user. So that's the thing. So and the ownership always, whenever we think about that record level security, we always have to think about the who owns that record, because the owner of the record is an important thing when we are working on the record level security. Then we have things about the owner. It's not about the created date. Means suppose I created the date and I am not owner of that record, then it doesn't mean that I created the record. It doesn't mean to me if I am not owner of the record. If owner, because I don't own that record, so I it might be that I can see that record. So that's why. So I'm talking that the thing is that for the record level security, you have to focus on the who owns that record. Your first thing, whenever we are asking or whenever we have a situation to provide some security settings on the record, then we always think about the who owns that record. Means ownership of the record is a very important part of the record level security. Now let's move to how to give a record level security. Uh, for that, we have to go to sharing setting. You have to go to the sharing setting, and in sharing setting, you will find our first sharing setting is called OWD, or organization wide defaults. Okay, in this you can see that we have a first we understand then what is what is it. So in the organization wide defaults, uh, it's always applies to the first. It always applies to the object. It's always applies to the object. Second, it's applies to the internal access or external access that you need to. We will leave as it is, right. We are not discussing about this thing right now. Right now we're discussing about only the two things: default internal access and default external access. Default internal access means the user who are internally created in the Salesforce. Internally created in the Salesforce whose license are internal license, means who are not a community user or any partner user, means who are accessing the Salesforce from the external system. Suppose if I created a site on the Salesforce and some user are accessing the Salesforce records or Salesforce detail via site, so that user are comes under the external users, or that users are for the called as external accesses. Similarly, if we design any community for the Salesforce community, later we discuss about the communities. And so whenever we will discuss means whenever a user wants to access via community to the Salesforce. So community is a kind of site in the Salesforce. Means it's a third part. Means it's we design a community and host it in publicly. User can do login and access the Salesforce. So since that those users are external users, they are not they are accessing the Salesforce, not login into the Salesforce. They are just login some external portal in the Salesforce, some external portals of the Salesforce, and trying to access the details or records of the Salesforce. Then those users are called as external users, and the users who are logging into the Salesforce via this our uh, standard Salesforce username password, means via this standard. You remember this one? Via this screen. Yeah, the standard screen. If any of the user are logged via this screen, they are called as internal users. So these OWD are for OWD or organization wide defaults are applying to the internal user and external user. Right now we are not talking about the hierarchies. First we will understand this, then we move to this. So organization wide defaults, it applies to internal or external users, internal access or external access. Internal users are those users who are logging from this means standard Salesforce username password. External users are those users who are logging into this, who are accessing the records of the Salesforce. They are not permanent user of the Salesforce. They are just accessing the records of the Salesforce via some third party system, that might be a site or a community or any other tool, that might be any other tool from which the user wants to access to the Salesforce. There comes into the consideration called external user or external access, and we are giving the access to the external user are come under the topic external access topic. And the users who are present inside the Salesforce, inside the Salesforce and accessing the Salesforce metadata and records, all those things they are able to access. These are comes under internal users, and they are comes under the terms of internal access. Okay, so uh, so you got my point. A difference between the internal access and external access is and thereafter we have some thing that here you can see that in all the objects we have a different or OWD settings, means organization wide. Whenever I will say that OWD, it means that it's organization wide default, so its short form is OWD. Okay, so suppose for the lead objects, here in the lead objects we have a public read write transfer. Read, you know that we have a read, we in the profiles we discuss about the read permission, write is the edit permission, and for the lead and for the cases we have one more permission called transfer. Okay, transfer is the thing that are we allowing that user, or we allowing that user to transfer the record. Transfer means transferring, here the transferring means the transferring the ownership of the record. Remember, I just talked about that ownership is a very important factor for determining the permissions. So for determining the OWD or sharing settings, so the transfer is a permission only available for the lead and case. That is a special kind of permission, and that is a that we can transfer means that either we allowing that user to transfer that ownership of the record to some other person. That's okay. Right now we just think about public read write. So public read write means publicly that can be read and write. And we have one more thing, private, means that record will become a private. Only the user who owns that record can able to make changes. And public read write, the user either owns the record, or the user who do not owns the record can able to make changes. And public private, that's only two. Let's go to our
Sir, I have
objects
a
that.
question.
Yep.
Yes. When we say internal access, you mean
Hmm.
accessing internal application, internal data, right?
No. It's about the internal users. Internal use. It's don't confuse with the internal access. It's internal users who are going to access that records, and these are the external user who are going to access the records.
You are
Users. It's about users.
just like admin who creates data and and give access. This is an internal user, like a developer is an internal user, internal access,
Yeah.
internal.
Correct. Hmm. Hmm.
But end users, which is customers, are external
Hmm.
access.
Yeah. Customers are called as external users.
But here I have another question. Users at the bottom has public read only, which means he doesn't have anything. He just read it.
Hmm. Hmm.
User public read only access.
Yeah.
He's not able to create data or give access.
No, he is not able to
He's
create.
very limited.
Yeah, it's limited.
So is it logical? Is it use case or
No, it's a standard thing. It's a out of box thing because the users can only be edited by the system admin. No one
Okay.
else can edit
Oh,
the
no.
user's record.
Okay, got it.
So these permission are these whatever we am talking about here. It's not related to system admin. Apart from the system admin, it's applied. Means whatever the permission we are currently we're discussing, it's only related to apart from the system admin. Means either be profile permission, anything else. It's not related to system
Yeah,
admin.
got it.
System admin have all the accesses. It does not require anything, and we can't remove that permission from system admin profile. So system admin is always have all the accesses. So that's why I just told you that to create a user via using the standard user. Yeah, remember standard user profile you have to create so that we can check the permission. If we are creating the permission using the system admin, so system admin have always all the permissions. So that's the different thing. So it's not about the system admin, it's about the apart from the system admin any user. So these are comes under this internal users and consideration, and these are the default permission that they have. Means apart from the system admin, any of the user cannot able to create a user record. They only just can view the user record. They are not able to create any user record. Okay, so
Got it. Thank
what I'm going to say that, yeah, let's move to our objects that we had created. It's employee object. Yeah, here you can see that it's a public read write and external access is a private. Since we don't have any external user, so we will just know that because the permissions are work same as we are means if we learn that internal access external access are the same, they are just user, and the permissions are just same since they are similar to that. Means whatever we are do the internal user, they are also similar to the external user. So it's the same thing. And if any configuration working for the external user, the same type of configuration also working for the, sorry, if any configuration is working for the internal user, same type of configuration is working for the external user. It's no issue. Right now we don't have any external user because for the external user we need to design some so many things. So we just leave it as it is, and we test for the internal users. So right now it's what it's saying that we have a public uh, can
Siraj,
some, yep.
I have a question. Like on Salesforce, for somebody to reach application, do they always have to have username like user or like open web application? Could it be like external user, someone reaching as like website
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
same
thing?
thing. Hmm.
So if somebody doesn't have username, they are reaching, they could be considered also external user also.
uh, yeah, they are considered as external user. If someone don't have a username and we create any external site for them, so they are considered as an external user.
Okay. But whenever we're creating, we can name them like external user or internal user uh,
uh,
explicitly.
any user which is created let me show you so that it might be clear. Let me go to the users, and here as you can see that we have this user is created by default. Yeah, and this user I created for the testing, right? Let me change this view and add this license so that it's not showing. Forget the name, company information. Hmm. Yeah. Go to list of 22. It's not sure. Okay, it's not showing, but say it's okay. So this any user, whenever we create a profile for a user, remember we on the user we have a profile field. When on the user we have a field called profile, remember. So this is and each profile must be related to a license. Okay, user license is Salesforce. Give some months, just want to focus on that. So whenever we create a user, is that user is related to a profile, and that profile is related to a license. So and this license will tell you that either that will be an internal user or an external user. So any profile who belongs to, apart from the Salesforce, either with Chatterfree or I think it's Salesforce platform also, no, not Salesforce platform, just Chatterfree and community plus license, or customer portal or work.com only, these type of licenses, any profile which have a customer community login license, Chatterfree license or customer community plus license, these type of licenses, any profile which have these type of licenses, and those profile have and that profile assigned to any of the user, that user considered as an external user. Okay, so whenever we design any and whenever we design apart from that, we have also a guest user license, which tells us that a user which who don't have any username password can are able to access the Salesforce details, are external as a called as external user. But we have also some users who can be a part of a Salesforce via this license, customer community license or customer community plus license or chatter free licenses. Means a user who is uh, who is called as a either be as a internal user or external user, it depends on their license is a very important thing in Salesforce. So license whatever the license applied to a profile, that determines that user be a external user or internal user, first of thing. And on the basis of the license we on the basis of the license we determine that either the user is an external user or internal user. But these licenses are only applicable means suppose I can't apply that license. Suppose suppose I create a user who is a Chatterfree license, and I was try to log in with that username and password via this login page. I can't able to log in because the Chatterfree license work on that our chatter our different portal. Similarly, the customer community login license will work on the customer community. So these are the licenses that are applied to a user who is logging from that portal. It's not opening. There is also called guest user license. It's not opening. I'm not sure why it's not opening. So we are blank. So I can show you that that license will apply to a user uh, who don't have any username and password. It can entering in the Salesforce and work. Or that user will create when we create any site. So basically what I'm trying to say that we have external users, we have an internal user. External users are those users who are just like our customers or our collaborators. That means we design a company, means whenever a company is running, they have some customers, they have some collaborators, or they have some uh, guest users, means they designed that guest user. So these type of user, when you're trying to access the records of the Salesforce. So we design a portal for them, either be a community, either be a site or any third party system. We design a system for them. That system, because they are not able to log in into the Salesforce directly, because this logging into Salesforce, it's uh, for the internal users only. Internal users can only log in into the Salesforce. For the external users, we need to design some kind of portal, either be a community or be a site or be any third party system, so that external user can log in and make log in and access their details, or do interaction with the Salesforce. Because the external user have very low permissions, very low permission. They have just permission to view that record or just create a particular record, nothing else, nothing more. So these are just a free user. They are just a very low permission user. They don't have so much permission. They have just to they are just come, because their role is only to just come visit and do small things. So they are different things. So external users are the only just like customers are accessing, or just like we are just do a any we are working on any e-commerce site. Suppose I will go to Amazon and trying to accessing their products without doing a login. Means if I accessing the products in Amazon, so there is no need to log in that into that portal. We still can able to access that Amazon portal. Yeah. So for that, since I provided for the admin or the internal, any IT department, those are the internal users, they provided that any user can comes and see the products and filter the products. So that's the guest user license. Without user and password, I can see the products. I can filter out the product. These are the functionality are provided to the guest user, because these are valid for that means these are designed in some way that a guest user who don't have any account can able to see the products. But whenever I do the checkout, means I add the products, but whenever I do the checkout, at that time he wants to at that time the Amazon let us to first log in and then do the checkout. So that's at that time, whenever we do the login, and at that time we become a permanent customer to that portal, means permanent customer to that Amazon. So at that time we become a user to that account, but still we have only permission to make a checkout or see the products. Means it's the enhancement of a guest user license to purchasing, means it's an enhancement to a guest user. Means remember that for the Amazon, we just able to see the products and see the product details and everything, and can make add a card. And when we become a permanent customer, we just check out that card and buy the products. That's the thing we can means for becoming a small in we giving this from the guest user license to be giving a small increase some permission to that user, and that user become a permanent user to our portal. But still that user have only ability to see the products, add the products, and purchase the product. He does not have any ability to remove the product from the UI, uh, or any extra things. So these kind of thing that the customers to our portal are called as external user. But apart from that customers, we have also some users that called as admin, management teams, sales teams, IT teams. These are our internal users who works for internal teams, who has a different type of permission, who has a more permission than a external user. So it's just a kind of thing that you have to know. Means what is the external user and what is the internal user. The external user who are accessing external user are the users who just accessing our final products. He does not have to any knowledge about, he does not have to any interaction about how the product is made, how the product are changing, and that kind of things. That I think you got my point. Yeah. Or so I
Yes, got it.
hmm. It's a small thing.
All
Means
good.
external user are those users who are just accessing our finalized products. Means they are the customer, they are collaborators, they are the guest, they are the random person, anyone who are accessing our finalized product, that called as external user. And the person who are building that product, who are helping in that management of that product, are called as internal users. Okay, so where we are talking about the organization wide OWD.
Siraj, there was a number of licenses.
Hmm.
What is that? Can you please explain that as well?
Number of licenses.
Yes, there is a number of licenses tab. You total license, total licenses. Why? Like there is, these are the limits that number of people.
Yeah, these are the limits. Suppose I have only two users, I have only two licenses for the Salesforce user. For the Salesforce, I have two license for the Salesforce license. So it means that I can create only two users with this license. Salesforce license means this profile can only have two users.
Got it. Yeah.
This profile license.
Mhm.
And you got my point, no? This have means it, either we can say that these are the limit of the users that we can create.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Chatterfee can create 5,000 users, in
Mhm.
which one of it's created. You can see that if my users,
And this chatter and all these are different orgs of Salesforce or outside of
no, it's only for this org. These are only for this org. This license is only for this org. So I have to and I use the two licenses of this, since system admin is also belongs to the Salesforce user license. So that's why system admin. And if you check the system admin profile, you can see that its license is use Salesforce. So that's why it's called that two are used.
this 5,000 number, where does it comes? Like are we defining this? Will we have like
No,
5,000?
we are not defining. We are not defining because when we are purchasing a Salesforce org, right now it's a free org, so it's 5,000. Whenever we are purchasing the org, at that time in that they are explaining about the license. Means on the basis of
Mhm.
license, means on the basis of your requirement, you just purchase that licenses. These are licenses available. Means on the basis of your requirement, when we are trying to purchase a Salesforce org, on the basis of the requirement, they will give you the licenses. So the licenses determine the user. Suppose I have only suppose I have to work only with the users, means I have most of the users are work as a community user, means so they so in the as example in the Amazon, if we talk about the internal team of Amazon, might be have 1,000 members, but for the external they have a more than 1 lakh users who are you accessing the Amazon portal. So it's just an example. They have internal team of 1,000 user, but those who are accessing their product might be 1 lakh. So he will not purchase. He will purchase some kind of license in which we have a customer portal, a customer community login license will be approximately 1 lakh, and their Salesforce license will be 1,000, something like that. Okay, so it's about the number of users, and it determined by the while we are purchasing a Salesforce, at that time it determines that thing. Okay, so these are the limits over there. And it's talk about that used and remaining. Since I use that I have two different profile. One is system admin, it's also a user license, and as a standard role you also have the same license, and both of them active, one of the active user, so it's called user license 2. If I deactivate one of the user, means it's also talking about the active users. If I deactivate one of the user, suppose I have this user and I go, this is my testing user, I go and deactivate this user. Okay, and let me refresh. You see it's become 1. So it's talking about the number of active users with this license. In short, we can say that. Let me reactivate this one. And I go to the complete license and do refresh. Now it's showing me 2 of 2. Okay, so since this is a free portal, that's why we have a 2 user. If we have a sandbox or if you have a production, we have more than 2 or 3, means it's depend on number, because the Salesforce is charging on the basis of user. If you look at the charges, they have, I think, $200 per month per user, something like that, their charges. So it's for the standard Salesforce license. Apart from that, they are less amount, means they have very few amount for that. So it's okay. So where we are at the sharing set. Sharing.
How do we decide which license we are going to use? Okay, you say there is external and internal, but there are some, for example, Salesforce and Salesforce platform, they are for internal. So how do we decide which one to use?
It's we can say that it's depend on that what we are going to do, means it's also depend on that why we are purchasing that Salesforce. The main question is that why we are purchasing the Salesforce, and by purchasing the Salesforce, why what we are going to do with the Salesforce. At that time we will decide how many users how many license we are going to purchase. Suppose I was I was working, so I was designing a product into the Salesforce that will only use by the use as extension. Suppose I design a product to a Salesforce that will send an email, means user just write type a type user type to address from address, and design the body and hit the button send. It will send an email. So that kind of product I designed, that it will send email to a person, means I just design a portal that will only send an email. So it's a small product and we don't need any user for that. We don't need any, we just use that our developer free org and design that thing and make it available to the app exchange. That's okay. Suppose we have another situation that as I told that we have an e-commerce thing, and at that time we just think that I have a, means at that time we just go to the Salesforce and tell them, hey, I want to buy a product, I want to buy your Salesforce, and I have this kind of view that I will purchase your product, and I want to set up my business. My business is to only something like e-commerce. At that time they will tell you that what's the license, what's the charge for the license, means what's the number. They will ask for you that what's the number of your user that who act as a internal team, and what will be a proposed number to your user who will act as your external user. So they will ask the questions, means that's a thing, main thing, that while purchasing our license, that who is going to use your product. That's the important thing before purchasing the license.
I have a question. So you mean some certain users should have some certain licenses?
Yeah, every user should have the license.
For example, system administrator can have maybe Salesforce platform license apart from the Salesforce license.
Where did you see that Salesforce? Yeah, this system admin cannot have this license.
So only can have this Salesforce.
Yeah, it can only have this Salesforce, because system admin is a very high level of means it is the top of that every license. It is the top of that every user. So it up to that thing, means it's a very top of that everything, and that kind of license and he has only means and to provide every metadata permission, we have only one license called Salesforce license, because in the Salesforce license we have all the metadata permission that we can add or remove. And in the Salesforce platform, I think it will only provide the metadata, but it will not provide that Apex thing. It will only for the, means we can just create we can work on with the only metadata thing. Means we can create work with the objects, fields, and automation tools. These kind of things we can work on that, but that cannot work on the Apex thing. So I think this one, as far as Salesforce license. Actually, I don't.
So-
I didn't have. Means I did not read all about the platforms. Means all what which platform used for what. I just know that this for the only for the metadata. This for this one, and this one for the community. Community. This one customer and customer. These are for the community. And we have work.com. I think it's means that is. I need to read about that. What's the particular license used for? Okay. Yeah. Next.
So it
Yeah.
seems to me a little bit challenge because to be able to assign a proper license for an user, actually we need to know the properties of all these licenses, right?
Yeah.
Or
Correct.
before assigning.
Before assigning, you need to know all the property of the licenses. So while we are working in a Salesforce, then we need to know that what is the working of that all the licenses, and it's easy, but you have to just license.
These 22 licenses, are they common for all Salesforce or
Yeah, it's common for all of the Salesforce. There is no new licenses over there.
Okay.
These are only 22, and you can learn about that here. User licenses. You can read out from here. Means standard user license, Chatterfield chat is these kind of licenses. Let me show. From here you can learn about that license, what licenses will do. Means there are so many licenses, 22 licenses. Let me put in a Slack so that you can in general. No resources. Licenses. Okay, there are so many licenses. You can read each of them. Just like a standard user, why it's used, how it's used. Just like means before, yeah, as you told that, yeah, before assigning a user, we need to think about the licenses. So that's an important thing. We need to read about the licenses, what it's going. So usually I just got a requirement related to that portal. That's why I just remember that portal.
Assigning this kind of thing is like Salesforce administrator's job, I guess.
Yeah, it's only it's a job only related to the Salesforce administrator. And usually when we are start working in the Salesforce, this kind of job will not this kind of job will not be allow us to do that. They will manage by our architect or any more than over that, or the managerial positions. They will manage that which user have which kind of role or which kind of license. So for your knowledge, you can read about that. What's the license or which license, what it will be do. Okay,
I think we better focus on what we need to know to get developer job, not to go into detail because it's so huge. If we have some idea, I think it's enough because it's so huge.
For the actually just a text thing. Means name will also resemble that what it will do. And so if you just like a 10 minutes, if you give a 10 minutes, it's okay. But just 10 minutes, you will read out that what it will be do, because the name also resemble that what it will be do. Okay, so that's okay. Where we are at the sharing rules. Where is my okay? Okay, let's come back after the break. So we will start over that. It's a break time.
May I ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
Can we change the license after creating the user? Let's say I created the user
Yeah, you
and
can
I did
change.
something, then okay.
You can change the license. For that, you just have to change the profile. Remember, license is related to a profile.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can change the profile. You just have to go to the user and hit the edit, and change its profile. The license of the user will change.
Okay.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, I know that page. Okay, thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, any more question? Else we go for a small break. Come back after that. Okay, then talk to you in 10 minutes.
Yeah, after break maybe.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Hello. Hope you come back. Everybody's come back.
Yeah, here.
Okay, so let's read about the what is OWD, organization work defaults. Before that, let me log into my different user in the incognito mode.
I want to ask you about the requirements.
About
The requirements, like actually in QA, we have a user story. According to the user story, we do the automation. In here, also in the Salesforce, do we get the requirements? Like
yeah, we get the
the
requirements
license should be this one and etc.
Yeah, we get the requirement, but usually we don't get any requirement related to creating a user.
Okay.
We don't get any requirement with creating a user, creating a profile, or creating a license. No, we don't get any requirement. But if we have a requirement, they will create a user story for that.
Okay.
Because
so
I had
does it look like a Trailhead? In Trailhead, it is more detailed, but the challenge questions, they are giving the questions. Do we get the requirements like in the same format?
Yeah, particularly, basically in the same format. Usually we get the requirement in the same format. No issue.
Okay.
They will give the name of what should be the name, what should be the license, something like that. They will give the similar to
because somehow it is going to be difficult to decide which to use.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about that. Usually means usually I in my career, in my whole career, as I didn't get any requirement create a user or create a profile. I never get the requirement. We get the requirement to change any permission on the profile, but I haven't get any requirement to create a new profile or create a new user using that license. No, I didn't get, because it's a totally who is the most admin who is working on that, or their system architect who is working on that project, who that person is doing that. And usually we act as an admin, senior developer, or admin, senior admin, something like that. They don't have any such kind of permission to create a user. So that's why if we have a requirement, so then they will provide a similar to, as we are seeing in the Salesforce trailer, they will provide the requirement similar to that. You have to create this, that. Okay. So are you seeing which screen are you seeing? This sharing setting?
Yes, sharing settings.
Yeah, sharing site.
And today's event, this wall also?
Yes.
Today's event, no, we didn't yet.
Oh, I will see right now, today events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Means we have to actually I'm logging with the two different users, that's why. Here is my testing user in the incognito mode. Incognito mode, and here is my let me change the theme of the setting. Where should I change the theme to? White. Appearance. Actually, I just want to change the theme so it will be a white screen and then incognito in the black screen, so that whenever I switching the tabs, it will be clear. Appearance, click themes, and where themes is store. No, I want to white. Okay, let's check. Might be. This one, let's use this one. Okay. Both are doing it. Leave it. Okay, let's move to that. I will take a second time. Where here? Let's move to the object called. Currently, it has a permission called public read and write. As I told you that we have three options available: public read write, public read only, and private. These three options are available. Private and it's totally work on the ownership of that record. Ownership means the record which owns that ownership means that the owner of that record, and public read write means the user who is just logged in can able to see the record that he owns, and also able to see the record that he don't owns. And read write means he can make changes in the our records, own records, and also make changes in the other records. Okay, and if I do public read only, if I do the make this as a public read only, then he will able to see only he will he will just able to see the record but not able to make any changes. And last we have a private means he will able to see their own records. Yeah, he will able to see their own records and able to make changes. And public read only means he can able to see and make changes in own records, and for the other records for who he don't owns that record, he will just able to see that record but not able to make changes. So first, currently is a public read only, I just make it public read only and hit save. So since I make changes on the employees record, let me go to the employees here. I think it's one. This is a system admin user, so so it does not have any issues. He has system admin. He can do whatever he wants. Okay. Now we're talking about the user. In this way, let me change the view so that it will be quite easy. Let me add the columns over here. Select fields to display. We are adding city, contact. Where is the owner? It's not showing the owner. Okay, let's owner first name. Okay, and let's check my other this is in this I log in as a testing user. The employee, I go to the employee. And let me view all. Okay, now this is the testing user. I opening this record. I opens this record and this and this John. I opening also the John record. Why he is able to edit? You do not have to see that. Let me log out and log in so that it will be quite clear. Usually it not reflects changes. Okay, right. Okay, now as you can see that I log in with the testing user. I log in with the testing user, and this record, this Batman records, is owned by the testing user, and this John record, it's not owned by that testing user. It's owned by the some other user who is not who is not that our testing user. So, and here if I look at my OWD, organization wide setting, for employee object, let me refresh. Actually it takes some time to apply those changes, and so whenever you're making changes in the setting, yeah, it will take some time. So here you can see that it's a public read only. No? Here it is, you can see that it's public read on. It means that the records that created by this by own user, he will able to make edit, he will able to make any changes, means he can read that records and also make the changes. But the records which is not created by them, sorry, the record not created, owns the record which is not owned by them, uh, it's not able to, he is not able to make changes over there, but he can still, he can read those records. So since the public read only, let me go to the my user. Here this user, I'm logged into the testing user. In that testing user, I see that this one, this record is owned by that user, so I just able to make any changes. Code of, okay, since I own the record, so and I'm able to make changes, and if I go to this record, I'm not owns that record, so it will throw an error. Yeah, it will throw that insufficient access right on this object. Okay, so what I'm trying to say that if means it just a word, means it's just a permission, still I just make that means from the, if I look at the object level security, if I look at the object level security, remember on the object level security for this profile, we have permission to read and create and also edit letter. Sorry, for the user, where is that user? Let remove this permission set. You know that this permission set contains that edit permission. So I just removing that edit permission so it will not make so much confusion. Just work on the profile and profile and OWD. Permission set are enhancement. So we just make focusing on that. And I'm just going to its profile and give the edit permission. Okay. So if I reload, let me reload this. Even this profile, this user profile, this is a testing user profile. If I look at the testing user profile, which is standard user clone, and it's, on the standard user clone profile, if I look at its permission, he has a permission that he can able to uh, edit the records. But since in the sharing setting I make that is public read only, so what it will do, it will he will still able to edit the changes. There no issue that if I do changes here, uh, since he have a permission to change the record, so he is able to change the record. But he is due to this OWD, he is able to change only those record who had its own ownership. If he owns that record, he will able to make changes. If he does not owns the record, he will not be able to make changes, because we just make it as a public read only. And for the here, since the owner of this record is not that the user who is not that the user, so he will not able to make any changes. And if I do want to, if I make any changes, the system will throw errors that it's sufficient right insufficient access right on this object. Similarly, if I do one more thing, we have one more option over here on the bottom, called public to called private, and save it. It will take some time to apply on the records. What it will be do, he will not able to see the others record. Okay, private is applied. Let me do log out and relog in. Now here you can see that he will not able to see the other records. He will not able to see the records which he don't owns. He will only see the records which he owns. Since here, which he owns only those records he can see. Apart from the records which he don't owns, he was not able to see. And if I look at this admin here, and the admin, where is that? Let me open from the admin. For the admin, because he is a system admin, no issue with that. Admin has all the permission. So for the admin, you can see in the admin view, you can see there are so many records. And for that, our testing user, this is the testing user. Testing user, he is only able to see that records that he owns. This is why, because from the OWD, which make the uh, default access to private. Default access to we make, since we make the private, so he will able to only see the records or make changes in the record which he owns. He is not able to make any changes in the record which he don't owns. And from the admin, suppose I, for this record, I just go the record and change the ownership of this record, meaning I just change the user, owner of that user to that person. I just change that owner of the user to that person and hit the change owner. When I hit the change owner and going to this user and our testing user, I do change the owner and testing user and make a refresh. So I'm able to that record. I'm able to see that record too. Yeah, now I'm able to see that records. Even I don't created that record, I owns this record, so that's why I'm able to see the changes. I'm able to see the records and also able to make changes. So the point I'm making that here, that we have a OWD. OWD is a very means important permission for that based on the ownership. Means what will be the sharing setting we are talking about? The sharing setting, it's only the setting that works with the ownership of the record. The ownership, the user who owns that record, uh, only on that on the basis of that it will works. We have a three condition over there. Yeah, we have a three condition: private, public read only, and public read and write. If I make the public read write, then the user the user can able to make any changes his own records as well as the record which he don't owns. And if I make the public read only, then the user can make changes in the records which he owns, but not able to make any changes in the records which he don't owns, but still able to view that records. And if I make it private, then the user cannot able to see the records which he don't owns. He will still able to see the records which he owns only. And the permission related to since we have seen that if a user is still in the public read only, we have seen that if a user have the permission to even he user have the permission via profile to edit the record, but still he is not able to edit the records. Because of that, OWD saying that he don't have a permission to make any changes for the user he don't owns. That's why the most restricted permission wins, and he has only permission to read that record. You got my point? So it's totally based on the ownership of the record. Ownership the records, what will be the ownership? On the basis of ownership, when we are giving the permission, then we have to move to the this what I'm saying, that OWD. Apart from that, yeah.
So whenever an object we give only read access to an object, even all internal users will be only able to read. They cannot edit it unless its ownership is not belong to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about controlled by parent? Is it like whatever the parent setting, it will apply to that one as well?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it like
It will automatically apply for the since we have a for the application object. Remember, we created an application object, and for the application object, we are saying that it's saying that controlled by parent. First of all, first of thing, why it's saying it's controlled by parent? I'm not saying that controlled by parent in the employee object. Yeah, I'm not saying the control by, even it does not have any option to control by parent. But for the application, we are seeing this is saying that is controlled by parent. It is because this object has a master detail relationship with the contact object. But for the employee, we have a lookup relationship with the contact object. That's the reason. So if we have a master detail relationship with any other objects, then at that time we can see the control by parent. Why we are seeing this control by parent? It's only because the master detail relationship, and when we do the master detail relationship, that at any point, then the owner of that child record, it's also the owner of the parent record will become same as the owner of the child record. That's the reason why. So any means any permission means since contact have a, if I go to the contact, so contact is also controlled by parent because we have account parent of that contact. So since account have the public read and write, so it means that contact will also have a public read and write. And what's the below of that? Yeah, application will also have the public read and write. Sorry, contact. So I'm on contract. Let me open contact. Contact. Yeah, yeah. Contact is controlled by parent, and Okay, so basically what point I'm trying to make here, that whenever we have a object which have a master tail relationship with some other object, then that object will control by means at that time that object will control by that object is controlled, that object sharing setting will controlled by its parents. Whatever the permission on the parents, it will be automatic inherited to the child. uh, okay, so that's the thing. And what forget to say. And whenever we have a lookup relationship, it will not inherit any kind of permission from the parent to child. It will not inherit any kind of sharing, sorry, it will not inherit any kind of sharing from parent to child. It will has its own permission. It will have its own permission. And for whenever we have a master tail relationship, it will it will always control by parent. And I'm looking at here contacts, contact, and then I go to the account, and when I do edit, and let's it's a control by parent, I can make it private. This option will not available on the what is that because it's a special kind of relationship with the account. That's why we are seeing both of them. You always remember that. Means for the standard objects, for a standard object we have a special type of lookup relationship with the account and account and a contact. Yeah, always remember that we have a special kind of relationship between them. Account and contact, we have a kind of because if we remember, if we create a master tail relationship, it requires to fill whenever we fill the whenever we trying to create a record of a application record, it asks to create a means asks to add a master, asks to add that value into that contact. But for the contact, it does not require to fill the account. It will easily able to do that. So it's a kind of a special relationship. So leave it. And I'm just making it public. I'm just making it. Let's first create some records. So after that we will let's go to the application and let's view all application. Let's check that this user created any application or no. Or let's create an application, or leave it. We will change the ownership. Let's go here. Okay, and for this contact we have a ordered this. Okay, so I'm just going to make a currently if I log in with my testing user, since if I log in with my testing user, and I can able to see that I can able to, for the testing user, I can able to see all the contact records. I can able to see all the all the application records here. All the application records here in the for the testing user. Yeah, for the testing user, I just log it and I can able to see all the contact records. Now I go to that my OWD settings and check that since this contact is controlled by parent, account and contract, and it's publicly direct, that's why it's showing. So I'm changing this. I'm not changing any thing over related to the account. I'm changing the things that are related to, because contact is a direct parent, so I can change the things to public read only. Whenever I make a public read only, since our let me save it.
But Siraj, contact was child of account, right?
Yeah, contact as a child of account, no issue. Yeah,
But
so I'm just making changes in the contact because we have to check on the application records, not on the contact records.
okay.
Okay, let me make it private. So I just make it public read write for my contacts. Let's refresh. It's taking some time to add changes. Yeah. Contact is public read only. Yeah, then what? It's not happening. Okay. Now I make the changes to contact to public read only. And if I look at my application object is controlled by parent, and application has a master detail relationship with the contact. So automatically this public read only will apply to this application object. Now I'm just going to my this testing user. Since he is able to see that record, I'm just making it log out and re-log in so that I can change I can see the changes are reflected or no. So what it will do, he will not able to see any of the record because he don't owns any of the record, any of the contact record. All the contact record is owned by the system admin or the different user. So he will not able to own, since he is not owning any of the contact records, so he will not able to see any of the application records. What he's saying, that's strange. Oh, sorry. I just make it public read, so he will not able to make any changes. Sorry. Public read. Sorry. Yeah, you can see that it's showing that it has an insufficient access on these records because the contact associated with this application, it's not owned by this person. It's not owned by this testing user. So what I'm going to do that I'm just going to here my actual contact and going to change its ownership of that contact. I change this ownership and change the owner. Now if I come here and go to my applications and click on edit, we can also make changes from here. Always remember from the list here. Yeah, now I am able to make changes. I can also able to make changes from here. Yep. So here what we have done that from the OWD we can apply permissions. We can apply, sorry, OWD we can apply what again? Yeah, or from the OWD we can see that the ownership of the record, it's very important. Whatever be that whenever be the OWD applied to any of the records, actually it's only applied to the records, not only the metadata. So whenever OWD applied, it's only it's dependent on the ownership of the record. Means whatever be the owner, then thereafter applied. And in that we have a fourth, we have learned about the fourth type of things, that public read write, private, and controlled by parent. So public read is a thing that user who owns that record can able to make a changes, but the user who owns owns that record, he will just able to read that record but do not able to make changes. If he wants to make any changes, the system will throw error that you have insufficient access right on that object. And if you make that public read write, then the user who owns that record still can make a changes, no issue in that. And the who do not owns that record can make a changes, since the if you make the OWD is to public read and write, and if I make that OWD to the private, then it means that the user can't able to see the records which he don't owns, and he will only able to see the records which he do not owns. Sorry, user can only to see the records which he owns. And another thing we have done learned that we have also an option called control by parent. Control by parent, it's only available when we have a master detail relationship with any other objects. So what when we create any master detail relationship, what it will be do that we can't able to see any owner field on that object. Suppose since we have a application, and if I go to that application, we will not see any owner field over here. And if I go to the employee object and open any employee record, then we can see there is a field called owner. And in application, we do not see any field called owner, because this is because we have a master relationship with the contact object, and whoever be the owner of that contact object automatically become the owner of that application objects. That's why we are not seeing any owner field on this application objects. So what does it means that since that contacts owner automatically becomes the applications owner, so all sharing setting that applies to the contact owner will automatically applies to that application object too. So that's why when we are going to that seeing OWD and checking the application object, it says that control by parent. It means that whatever be the permission, whatever be the set sharing rule applied to the owner of that contact will automatically apply to the owner of that automatically apply to the application too. So for the testing, what we do that we will just we will just make the since contact is the owner of that application, so we just make that contact to public read. What does it do public read? So what it will be do, it will lets the user to able to read the records which he don't owns, able to read the applications whose contacts he don't own, but not able to make any changes since he is in a public read only mode. And what in order to make changes, I just go to the contact and change the ownership of the contact to the testing user. Where is my contact? I change the ownership of the contact to the testing user. Once I make change change the ownership of the contact to the testing user, he will able to make any changes. If I make the changes revert back, he will not able to make any changes. Let's see that if I make the changes, he revert back to the original user. Now he will not able to make any changes. Yep, he will get an error, insufficient access right on the object. Okay, any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Siraj.
Yeah, sure.
I'm still not clear on something. So accounts is parent of contact, contact is parent of application. So you are making some changes, permission edits in contacts, and automatically apply to applications. That's clear.
Yep.
But accounts permission level should apply to contacts and application as well, right? Because it's
No, it will not apply.
Because isn't it so? If accounts and contacts have parent detail relationship,
they have a relationship. Actually, while we are talking about any standard objects, they are behaving some different as we have learned. Means we have a relationship between account and contact, but we don't have a master detail relationship between account and contact.
Okay.
First of thing,
we
don't have any master detail relationship account and contact. But still, if I make the contact as a control by parent, if I make the contact to control by parent, it will control by its parent.
Okay, I thought it has a parent detail relationship. Okay.
No, it has a parent detail relationship, but it don't have a master detail relationship.
Yeah,
The
I-
important thing is the
master
master
detail
detail.
relationship. Yeah. Got it.
Okay, that's right.
Understood. Thank you.
So actually they designed this outer box. For all the outer boxes have some special kind of relationship to with each other. That's why while we are working on that, you will slowly first we learn the basic thing, why it's happening. There we thereafter we learn about the exception cases in this outer box thing. We on the outer box thing, we have exception cases. They design the means that is their own. They design their lookup by their own. So we don't have any control over that. We just have to read that, hey, this is why this is happening, something like that. So our focus right now, our focus is not on that to think or not to focus on that, because it will make you confused. So that's why I'm not talking about that thing. I'm just talking about the simple thing, that what the public read and write, public read only, private and controlled by parent means, only that thing. So that's why I'm not talking about that, what is the special relationship between how it's working, because if I going to explain that thing, you will got confused about the other thing that I have right now just to train you about on that. So that's why first first learn the basic thing, then we slowly move on the other things. So any other questions?
So in this one, you set up accounts, contact as parent of accounts, and always this user only, Suraj user only will be able to read it, but any other user won't be able to read it, right?
I'm not getting your question.
Like if you can go to that screen that shows like different parts, like contact is parent of application. All applications, is it?
No, application contact is a parent of application, and yeah, right. And that contact is owned by a user called Suraj Singh. It's not a testing user. Okay. And so whenever the testing user logins, since I just make that sharing setting to public read and public read only, so he will able to see the records. He will able to see the records here. As you can see that I'm logging with the testing user, and since I don't own this contact, so if I able to make, I can still able to make, I can read the records, because in the OWD we have a public read only, so I can able to see the records. But if I do make if I make any changes and hit the save, he will not allow to make any changes. It's through this error, insufficient access right on this object. Because this is because we have only public read only permission. That's why. Still confused or quite clear?
Only Suraj Singh can create contact and account in this case, right? Like another user cannot create.
No, I can create. It's no issue. It's not about the creating, it's about the making changes.
Yeah, who, like as owner, this user can own its own applications, like create.
Yeah, its own application. Suppose I create a contact with this user. Let me create a
So this
contact.
user can, every user will have their own contact and their application, not one user, or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So this user create one contact, they access to their own contact. It means like accessibility is your own contact, and application is
Yeah, it's about the accessibility of their own contacts and application. Correct. Yeah, any more questions? Yeah, right now I just created an testing record, testing contact, which this user owns, and I also created an application record that he owns, that related to that contact. And if I make a changes here, I can able to make changes. But if any application that he don't owns, and if I make changes, I will not able to make it. Yeah, it shows that it's sufficient exercise.
Okay, that's clear now.
Hmm.
And other admin user can't also change.
Yeah, admin, if just like I told you that if it is a system admin, he can able to do anything.
Okay.
That's the thing. That's why I just told you that apart from the system admin, it's okay.
There is also a line role overriding or something like that. I see on the right hand side of that.
Where?
The other screen we give like read only or that kind of, yeah. Grant access using hierarchies.
We will learn about it later on. Yeah, using hierarchies, because for that we need to define a roles in the system. First we learn about the roles, then we comes to the hierarchies.
So
that's a different
we
one.
can give access to managers, even they are not owning some resources, they can read or edit. That kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's related to that kind of thing.
And this sharing setting is applied to objects, right?
Sharing setting applies to the records.
To the records. Okay.
Records of the object. Records of the object.
Okay.
Permissions are directly applied to the objects. This is a sharing setting. Applies to the records of the object.
So any kind of records.
Yeah,
for example, if it is a public read only, so any kind of the record will be applied to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far we learn object level, record level, and what this is called?
Sharing setting, OWD. It's called OWD, organization wide defaults.
Okay, OWD.
OWD.
Is this like any interview questions on this kind of things?
Yeah.
What they ask like as in an interview question?
They present a situation over there, and just like a situation that suppose I have a user, suppose they will tell you the situation that let's think.
Just like we have done, what will happen if I do this kind of.
Yeah, suppose they will tell that suppose I have a community users. Community users means the users, and I don't want to see. The user don't have to see the others records. Then what we will do? Then something like question.
So they are not
a straightforward question. Yeah.
So they are not asking definitions or anything, but asking.
No. They will not. They will not ask. They will never ask about the definitions. Yeah. They will never ask about the definitions. They always ask about the why it is used. Yeah, put the situation, and you have to think about the situation and tell that this is. They will not asking that what is OW, what is organization wide default. Okay. And if someone asks to the what is organization wide default, you can directly tell that in this we can do this kind of permissions. That's okay. Nothing else. There is no theoretical definition. Means you can learn the theoretical application, but it's not.
So once
if you learn that,
solve the logic how application works and do enough practice, I think interviews will be easier.
Solve logic.
Logic how it works, like a Salesforce works. Like do more practice, interviews will be easier. I mean.
If you do more practice, yeah, interviews will be easy. At least you just what I am demonstrating here. You just practice only that thing, that will also help you. No issue. No issue to just go here and there and do the things. It's okay. If you just practice that, what I have just done, just replicate that thing in your own org and do the things, it's okay. Okay, any more queries?
I think it's all clean.
All clean? Okay, then tomorrow I will ask question if it is all clean.
Okay, no problem. You can ask even right now. I'm okay.
Okay. Just okay. If you don't ask question to me, then I will ask question to you. Always remember.
Good message.
Okay, then try to replicate the same thing that that I have done yesterday and today, because sharing is a permissions are very important topic for the admin, for any of the user, means either be admin or a developer. So that's why I'm just focusing you, that's why I'm forcing you to do the same thing, because it's a very important topic. And if you're during on your admin examination, you will find so many topics are directly related to the permissions. They are just directly related to the permission. They are directly, means these all things are involved, just like that. Permissions, sharing settings, means profile permission set, sharing setting, and master tailor relationship. These 2 or 3 4 topics are covers lots of things in the in that admin examination. So just focus on that. Try to do everything. Try to do what I have done. Try to do what I have done in that in the session. Just try to replicate that thing in your own org, and think about it, why we are doing this like this, and that's okay. Okay. So pretty much for today. We will talk about tomorrow and raise some questions. Any question that you have, means if you don't remember, if you don't ask question, then I will start asking the questions. So okay, so bye for now.
Yeah. Thank you, Serge.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Suraj.
Thank you. Have a good day and night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.